So you can roll this, and then we can edit it afterwards, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Oh, my gosh, I'm so nervous. Okay.
Why are you nervous?
Because this is my first podcast, and I haven't done anything really in the public eye for a really long time. And usually when I do things in the public eye, people ask me questions, and I don't really always have control over it. So now I have control over this, and I just don't know what I'm going to say every single week for an hour at a time that people actually want to listen to.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Who are you?
I'm Jen, Schefft, Waterman. I used to be on the Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and now I am living in the Burbs of Cleveland.
Yeah. And what burb is this?
This is called Hudson, Ohio.
What was that weather today? I've never seen anything like that. It's called grappling. Is that what it's
grappling?
called? Did you hear of that?
I don't know. I just know it's just
There's a term
out.
for stuff that comes out of the sky that's not snow and not ice and not hail. And I think I Googled it, and they said that that's what this is called.
Grappling.
Grappling.
Yes, I did not know that. I just know that it sucks, and it's the day after Halloween, and it's always... Grapple. Yeah. I've lived here, in the Midwest pretty much my whole life. I've never heard that.
I know. So what brings you to this? I'm Brian. I'm her producer, by the way. So I'm guiding.
I need him to help me through this.
She
first
claims
podcast.
She needed some training wheels to guide her along this. I don't think she does, so you may never hear from me again. But
I've asked him to be on the first episode with me just to get me through it, and so I can talk and have something interesting that everybody wants to listen to.
Right. And as we record this, you're supposed to be, little producer tip here, you're supposed to be evergreen and time sensitive, meaning that somebody could be listening to this in 2025 and they'll be like, what are they talking about?
Right. So
But as we record this, we're right after Halloween. How is Halloween for a parent?
Halloween was a little bit different this year. And sadly, it fell on a Saturday night when everybody usually wants Halloween to be. So everyone was really excited to have parties and things like that. But that got a little bit, we didn't get to do that. But the kids still had a blast. But it just wasn't as fun as it could have been, given that it's 2020.
Do people incorporate masks into their costumes?
Some people did. I mean, it was cute. I mean, everybody looked great. I think all the kids are now used to wearing masks at school and things like that. So,
and there was trick-or-treating here?
There was trick-or-treating. I mean, people went up to doors. We had a table filled with candy at the end of our driveway and just had kids just pick it up, and we just sat there.
Like a candy buffet?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds even better.
My husband cannot even understand that people don't just come and take the whole thing.
Your husband's a lot like me. I would just bring the bucket and been like, oh, this is all for me?
Right. I'm I just wasn't a hoodlum like you were, obviously, like you two were as kids, because I would have just taken two and been on my way. But he just cannot believe that works.
Do you buy candy that you think you would like? Or do you buy candy that you think kids would like? Or do you buy candy that you think this is proper parenting, this is what they should eat?
I buy candy I think my kids or I would like, and I typically try not to buy it until a day before Thanksgiving. A day before Halloween, because I will just eat it. But I do try to get what I like and what the kids like, because we always have leftovers.
So how do the kids come home with a normal year's supply?
Oh, they came home with a normal year's supply. I mean, more full-size candy bars than I've ever seen too. So, I mean, it did not seem that different. Everyone keeps saying, oh, it's so different. This year actually felt somewhat normal, except that we were sitting outside instead of in our house.
I have a question that's sort of related to that. So back in your Bachelorette days, did you ever do they do theme, or they don't make it time? Do they say it's a Christmas party, it's a thing? They don't do that, right?
They don't do that because
it's not like a special episode of
they did a Valentine's Day episode knowing that
knowing when it airs
would air on Valentine's Day, but
right.
It was October or November.
So, when you shot it?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
So you had to pretend.
So you had to pretend that it was.
I was in the Bahamas one time in August, and they were shooting part of Dick Clark's New Year's Eve special there with some band, and so everybody at the hotel was pretend that it's New Year's Eve, and it was August.
Super weird.
It is super weird.
It's very weird, especially when you're not used to things like that.
How much notice did they give you in terms of? I have questions, so you're going to have to answer them. Lots of questions. So an episode. When you're shooting, do you know this will be an episode and this will be an episode? Because they do have sort of these stunts sometimes, and they're going to build an episode around that. So is it just shooting a bunch of stuff?
Every date is going to be an episode, and so each time in between rose ceremonies, that will be the next episode. So once one rose ceremony ends, the next episode, they're going to be starting to work on the next episode.
And how much time between rose ceremonies?
That would all depend. I mean, sometimes it could be a week. Other times it would be like 3 days.
And
but you could have, as a bachelorette, I could have like 3 dates in one day. So it looks like I've been on 3 different dates, 3 different days. It's all in one day, and then your mind is just
you don't want to go first. You want to be the closer.
You want to be the last date of the day.
I would think. Yeah. You don't want to be the breakfast guy.
Right?
But so do you know when you have 2 days until a rose ceremony? Do they say so? You're out on some dates.
No, I mean, but so you know when the next rose ceremony is going to be.
Oh, you do?
Okay, in the next 5 days, there's going to be a group date. I mean, this is early on. Like, there's going to be a group date. There's going to be, then he'll have like a group date is with more than 2 people. Then he'll have I just only usually had a group date or a date with just one person. I feel like they changed everything now, where people get left and let go during a date. Which I never had to actually give out roses during a date and then just say I had a really bad time with you today and you're leaving. I think that's really
Can you say I need more time? Can I have another day and then we'll do the rose thing, or you don't?
No. I mean, there is a strict schedule of how it's all supposed to run. I mean, they've got things set up where we're going, and I mean, camera crews need to be approved at half of the places that we're going, or the places that they know you're going to has to be aware of it. You can't just bring a whole crew of people in.
So rose ceremony happens, and then it's the next day we're back at it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It could be the rose ceremony could have lasted till 3 a.m. and then you're back at 9. Back on schedule. And nobody on the crew ever seems to be bothered by that.
So let's go back even further. So let's go back to when you're on The Bachelor.
Okay.
It's you and 24 girls.
Yes.
You're all in a house?
We're all in a house in Malibu.
Do you have roommates?
Yes, you have roommates from the beginning. And some people, I had 2 roommates from the beginning, but then there were rooms set up. We were living in a mansion, but there were not enough bedrooms for all of us. So there'd be a living room set up with 12, twin beds. So
in the living room?
In one of the rooms of the house. It wasn't a bedroom necessarily.
Now, did you pick or was it assigned?
Oh, no, it was assigned, and then they would change you every couple days.
They would change the roommates?
Yes. So you could just get to know everybody and maybe mix with everybody and sort of maybe fight with everybody.
Are people so nervous? Because this is early days of The Bachelor. So
right.
Are people so nervous that they're shyer, or they're just I'm going to dominate this?
I think everybody was... I didn't think anybody stood out as being crazy or weird or, everybody was a little bit... Everybody was really nice. That was the crazy thing. I know we were all there to try to meet some guy, but it was so early on in the process of the show, and I just think everybody was there to see what happened.
How much time are you together before you meet the guy?
Oh, so the first day, so we get there, we know we're going to film a show. They put us in a hotel for a couple days, and they film all this B-roll footage, which is just okay, I need you to walk down this hallway and go into the gym and run on the treadmill. So, they're doing that with 25 girls. So you're, in some strange hotel in the middle of LA, and you don't know who any of these other girls are. And so then finally, once it's time to film, they put you in your limos. But we were in a limo for 2 or 3 hours. You bring your own clothes to The Bachelor? You bring your own. So when you are on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, if you're one of 25 or however many they do now, I think it's 30. It could have changed. I need to get better at this now that I'm podcasting. As you say, I need to become.
You need to become Bachelor fluent. That's right.
But yeah, so we all had to bring our own clothes. I'm sure they supplement them a little bit more now. Mm-hmm. But we bring our own clothes, our own dresses. Our own makeup, our own hair.
And how confident were you in? Because at this time you're a badass Chicago socialite. So
I'm not a socialite at this point. I'm just a regular person.
So you were confident that you had the right clothes, or were you no, what are you going to wear? What are you going to wear?
I was confident I had the right clothes for the first night. And then after that, it was like, oh my God, I have nothing. No, I don't. I packed well. I packed as well as I could.
And what kind of guidelines do they give you for that? It's not like Survivor where they're like, grab a toothbrush and hit the road. It's like, here's what you will need. You'll need some evening wear.
You'll need bathing suits. You'll need, summer, just what would you wear on a date? And then I'd seen the show, so you know how to prepare in terms of like, okay, I need to look good for these rose
ceremonies. But do they
say
pack for 3 weeks?
Pack for 6 weeks. And it's
6
huge.
weeks?
It's like the biggest suitcase I've ever had. I borrowed it from a friend. Nowadays,
I don't have 6 weeks of clothes now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to pay, now it would be like you'd have to pay $100 to get that, piece of luggage on the plane.
Right. And you can't wear the same thing twice?
You could, but what would the people say watching?
So they don't
tell us that we can't.
Oh, they don't tell you that you can't. Oh.
They don't tell us that we can't.
But soap opera fans are super rabid, and sometimes soap opera wardrobes are kind of limited, and they have to recycle different dresses for different characters, and people will be like, that was Ashley's dress from 2 years ago.
Oh.
And they watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we didn't. If that happens, that could happen now.
Yeah.
But back in my day, no, it was like you're on your own, and you got to buy whatever dress or whatever clothes you think suit you and figure it out. And I don't feel like I was prepared. But when you go down to the final four, that's when you're there for the first 3 weeks takes you. The first three weeks for me took us down to the final four girls, and so those final four have to stay the remainder of the 6 weeks or the 3 weeks. So for a total of 6 weeks, no matter when they get let go. Just because for spoiler purposes, nobody wants to know that Christina got home 3 weeks before me.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So if you get let go, right away, if it's down to 4 girls, if you're the first girl of those 4 to be let go, then you've got 3 weeks to just be hanging out until the whole thing is over.
Yeah, I know. Now, it's changed a little that if you're down to the last 4 and you get booted out, is booted the term? Not rosed.
Not rosed. You didn't receive a rose to all the
There's a chance that you're going to possibly be the Bachelorette. You're the rare, I don't know how many of them, winner who was also Bachelorette. How many of you were there?
That was just me and Emily, I think. Emily was engaged to Brad Womack. No, is that right? And then
Emily
they didn't work
Maynard?
out. Emily Maynard. And then she went on to be the Bachelorette. But I was
But that doesn't happen.
No. And that was not, I don't think that was very well received because people saw me so much with Andrew. Mm-hmm. And it was he chose me. And so the fact then that we broke up, people were sad that we broke up and didn't want to see me with anybody else besides Andrew. And then it was sort of she already had her chance.
Well, that's even more unusual. So I guess if you, because you had to date for a while. And they start shooting Bachelorette seasons right after,
yes.
Or at least they do now.
They do now, yes.
Right. So it would have to be nope, and then you start shooting. They don't want that either anymore. So how long was the time? So you dated Andrew for 6 months-ish?
From the time the show started until we broke up. By the first night that I met him, the first rose ceremony, it was about 9 to 10 months.
So from the time it was just the two of you till you broke up is how long?
6 months.
And they have no plan to shoot a Bachelorette then? What was it like back then?
I think back then it was, they just didn't do, the Bachelorette was sort of a summer thing.
Yeah.
It was sort of a one-off. So I don't even think they were planning to do a Bachelorette. And then once Andrew and I broke up, within seriously within a week of me and Andrew breaking up, I get a call saying, we want you to think about doing the Bachelorette.
Now, do you have to call ABC and let them know that we're not?
We did. Yes, we did.
Do they tell you? So they tell you when?
They're so they'd been with they're after everything is over, they still kind of have you. We're contractually obligated for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. So they had us doing all these events and things like that. So we have to tell them if we're broken up because we clearly won't be doing events and things together.
And once you break up, are you aware that there's going to be Us Weekly magazine story, like that you broke up would be news?
Yes, I knew that would be news. I mean, before I went on the show, I thought nothing that I did would be news. But then after the show, everything just really blew up.
Yeah, you can't prepare for something like that.
No, you cannot. You cannot. And he was he enjoyed it. He enjoyed the fame, and he was used to it. I mean, he's a Firestone. I mean, they were people that were always in the public eye. And I was just completely overwhelmed by fame and by people knowing who we were. And we were on the covers of like every celebrity like gossip magazine, like weekly. So that was crazy. And he loved it. And I thought it was fun. I mean, it was really fun, but I just wanted to be more of a normal couple. And I was super uncomfortable with the fame, and he wasn't. And that just never really. Not that he was bad for that. It just I never got comfortable with it.
But then you have to make the decision. I'm going to go down this again. I'm going to go down this road again,
which I should have never done. But I mean,
wait, you regret it?
I do. I don't regret doing The Bachelorette, but I don't think. I mean, it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. So at the time, it seemed like a bad decision. I mean, now, 15 years later. It's over. We've moved on, and I'm good, and I'm happy, and I have
right. But
at the time,
isn't it just an amazing life experience?
Yes, it was an amazing life experience.
You're mad that it's a little too early because you could have gone on Dancing with the Stars, probably if it was a little too early.
You know what? As soon as I was done filming The Bachelorette, was the first season of Dancing with the Stars, and Trista was on it.
Yeah,
but then I didn't pick anybody, and so they didn't want anything to do with me. So ABC did not want anything to do with me or their brand. So
do they ask you, like, did you give it a good shot with Andrew? Because if they're going to roll the dice on you, which they may or may not regret, on The Bachelorette, they have to want to know that you were sort of tried and you were committed to the process.
Yes. I mean, that was all true. I mean, but Andrew and I had broken up, and they asked me to do the show, but then pretty shortly after that, they were like, you know what, it's probably not going to happen. We're not going to do another Bachelorette. It just doesn't get the ratings that the Bachelors do, and, go on with your life. And so we didn't even start filming. So this was December when they asked me to do it. And we didn't even start filming the show until the following October.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Like 10 months later.
10 months later, yes. So I think I said yes when I was, I'd just broken up with Andrew, and I was very, what am I going to do now?
And now, once they decide that, are you under their contract in that pre-production? So you can't color your hair, you can't cut your hair? Or
right. Well, I mean, so I had this contract now. It's like you're going to be the next Bachelorette if there is one, and you're still under contract. But it was like, do I date anybody? And I sort of met somebody in the middle of that. Another person, not the one you're thinking of.
Right, but do you tell that person? Like, there's only so far we can go down the road with this?
Yeah, I mean, the one person, I hate to bring him up because I don't, he's married and he has kids, but I dated Bill Rancic for a little bit from The Apprentice.
Did? Yeah.
He was a
Chicago
guy.
I know.
So he was still on The Apprentice when when I met him. And then... so he's somebody that people knew.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like on the cover of Us Weekly, and there's a picture of me, and on one side is Andrew, and another side is Bill Rancic.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, this is really a great way to start dating someone. When immediately they put us all on the cover, and he's up against some other guy, and he's not even on The Bachelor.
Yeah. And he's not even on the same network.
Not the same network. So that was a thing. I couldn't show up to his network stuff because I was like an ABC person. That was NBC. Clearly that didn't work out, but that was, so when so then I'm like under contract to be the Bachelorette, and I'm now on the cover of a magazine saying that I'm dating some other reality star.
Yeah.
So I was nervous.
And I think people forget how big he was, and that show was. That was season 1 Apprentice, right? It was season 1, right?
Winner of The Apprentice.
Yeah.
It was huge.
So it was all sorts of worlds colliding.
Yes, all sorts of worlds colliding. And I think he actually tried out to be the Bachelor. So they had footage of him. Yeah. And then he got on to, from there, that's how he got The Apprentice. But then after one episode of like the most recent Bachelor or Bachelorette, they have because Joe, that's my husband, because Bill and I are dating. They put like footage of him trying out to be the Bachelor at the end of one of the shows. So I've already brought him now into this other whole realm of like Bachelor stuff.
So they keep that stuff, huh?
Yes. And it wasn't, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't very, like what he said was not flattering to him, to Bill.
Yeah.
Like he kind of looked I don't remember, but it was like, I'm sorry, this is my fault. Like, it's my fault.
But you still, and you were how old then?
27.
So you're 27, and you kind of have to not really date for 10 months.
Right, which
at
I
27,
want to date because I'm 27.
27, right.
I want to meet someone and get married.
Right, that's a long time.
I don't want to put my life on hold for a full
That's a long
year.
time to sit it out. That's a summer.
It's
and
a
fall.
A summer and a fall.
A summer in Chicago. Right,
seasons.
it's 8 months in Chicago that are valuable time.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So all sorts of... So this time between when they asked me to do The Bachelorette and when it actually films was just a really crazy time too, because then Bill Rancic and I broke up, but then I met somebody else that I sort of liked, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you're going to do the show again," and then I was like, "Okay, well, I'm dating this guy," and they told me that the show wasn't going to happen, so I'm not doing anything wrong, but now it seems like I'm doing something wrong, and now I'm contractually obligated. There's some money involved that I've already spent, so I'm like, oh, I can't. I got to go on the show. I got to do it. And so then, things were shaky with the new guy because... Now,
are they telling you don't date anybody, or they're just like...
They just kind of left
don't
me.
Get engaged?
They didn't tell me anything.
Because one of the producers of this show, who's going to be hopefully fixing our sound at the end of this, she used to cast The Bachelor back in the day. And she came up with the question that was much more valuable than the question they were asking before. They would usually ask the question, are you dating anybody right now? And everybody would say no to that. Now the question that they ask is, does anybody think you're dating them right now?
Well, because
that's a whole that is a whole different thing that people do. And it's different now. So you go to The Bachelorette. Do you get any do they ask your preferences? Do they ask what kind of guys you like?
They kind of build The Bachelorette is that I would be the first Bachelorette ever to have a hand in picking her guys. So, they make it look like I did, and they set up, they'd interviewed all these guys, and we're in a hotel room somewhere, and they set up all this, so I get to watch these guys being interviewed. Oh. They're filming me while I'm watching the guys being interviewed. And there were definitely some that I was like, oh my God, he's really, really cute. I mean, Jerry was the guy I ended up picking he was gorgeous. And I was like, I like him and I like him. I mean, there was a couple that I liked that they picked.
It's like the kids with the Halloween candy.
Right.
Yeah.
I get to choose this.
There was a buffet of bachelors for you.
Here.
Yeah.
But then they picked a bunch that I had not seen or I'd been like, ew, no. So that was a little bit like, what? What? Okay, whatever. But, so yes, I sort of had to say, but not really.
So then you see these guys.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I saw him. That's one of the ones that I would have chosen.
Yes. Well, so then it's I knew Jerry. I mean, Jerry was the guy who I picked at the end, and he was the guy from the beginning who I was like, he's definitely the one I'm most attracted to.
So day one,
he was like, yep, it's Jerry. And they knew I liked him from the videos, and they made him come out of the limo last. So they had me
so they know. So you told them you kind of like him.
Yeah. They knew that he was my favorite going in.
And what did you like about him other than his
just
looks?
He was cute.
Okay, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
He was really cute, and then he did his interview. He was charming and funny, and, whatever.
Oh, aren't we all? Till it all goes bad.
He was great, and he's not bad either. I just mean at that.
Right. So is that skew so you're going on these dates with all these people, and it's got to be like speed dating in a way, did you ever do that back in the day?
I never did that.
If you do that 5 seconds in, sometimes you're just like, I don't want to talk, and you're like, I've got, how long more do I have to sit here? I'm
pretty it's pretty immediate if I think you're cute or not. But, I mean, obviously, there's that whole getting to know you stage where,
And are they saying you have to go down, you have to give it a full shot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a show to be done. They don't care that I found, I mean, I know things are going on in this Bachelorette this time.
Yeah, I know.
But at the time, they didn't care that Jerry was my favorite. And I don't even think they liked him. There was, somebody else that they thought that they could see me with more for whatever reason. John Paul, that was the second guy, the guy that...
Yeah.
But I think they were pushing me towards him the whole time because he was rich and he was an oil guy from Oklahoma. And I was like, he doesn't tell me he's rich. You guys are always telling me how rich he is and how,
Are you drinking?
Yes, there's drinks involved. Not every time, but yes. I mean, during the dates. I mean, I was a nervous wreck. Of course, you've got to.
And could you just be like, can you get a drink anytime you want?
You can get a drink anytime.
Like when they're fixing the lights, you're like, can I get a scotch and soda?
Yes, absolutely. It's
so they have
hard.
it there on the set.
Oh, it's there. I mean, but I'm not a huge drinker, and that like
but
I can. It doesn't.
Were you then?
Yes, I mean, not huge. That doesn't mean I drank more then, but I wasn't. I didn't ever want to be like completely falling down drunk where I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Or
just a little bit,
making out with all of them.
Correct.
You know,
I did not make out with, I only made out with like 3 of them.
Like 3 or 3?
3.
3.
3. Like 3. So, yeah.
Were they the last 3?
Last 3, yes.
Oh, so it was the last.
No, it was 4 because one of the guys, sorry. 4.
How much did you drink?
Fabrice, he was French.
That still counts.
Me. Oh. Yes, but yeah, it was not a wanted kiss, but it was.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So you kissed the 4 and they were the last 4?
The last 4. Well, the last 3 and then one random French guy.
Earlier,
yes.
Because that would be weird. It's like, yeah, I kissed 3 of them, but they were the first 3 out.
Yeah, no, so I did kiss the last 3 that were there, you know, the ones in the fantasy suites and all that stuff.
And the fantasy suite is different now. They right? What was it then?
Well, I don't. So back then, I mean, I still think that they do it, but it was like, Chris, you find this envelope on the table, like this dinner that you're at, like, this Chris left a note for us, like the shocking note, which is basically like, here's a key if you want it to, you know, your own hotel suite, you know, and it's like basically up to me and the guy if we want to take the suite together or, you know, go home. Well, I mean, of course you take the suite because I just want to like talk to these people without the cameras.
So there's no cameras there.
I mean, they get you to the hotel, the suite, and they want you to make out a little bit, so they get the shot, and then they leave. So you got it? You got it? Is that
got
enough?
it.
Okay.
Can you imply stuff's going down in here?
I mean, yeah, they imply things. I mean, they show you like where the hot tub is, and there's candles lit and rose petals everywhere.
But then when you're in the suite, are you mostly talking about, boy, this is weird, the show stuff?
All of it. Yeah. I mean, and so I'm thinking of The Bachelor right now. Are you talking about? Okay, so The Bachelor.
Either.
We're talking about the show and just everything, but it was just like really fun to hang out with him and talk to him. Like he had friends there that we had met, and like, just talking about all the girls. I mean, it's not like he was telling me, oh, I don't like her, I like her, I'm going to pick you. I mean, there was not that conversation. It just felt like, I'm going to make the most of this. We're just going to hang out before, like, without any cameras around. And
can you get away during the filming?
No.
Or is there, like, it's like off campus, so to speak? Can you be like, I'm just going to run down to CVS?
No. So it's funny, too. So when I mean, you wish you could. But when I was in New York, it was like billed as like, oh, I'm moving to New York and I'm meeting this guy. And I'm like, I lived in New York for 6 months or 6 weeks because of it. But I mean, I didn't go to the store. I didn't take the subway. I didn't catch a cab on my own. So no, everything is, I mean, I took excursions where it's like, I got to go get a spray tan today and we go together. But I have a handler. I have somebody with me from the show the whole time.
Do you ever forget, the cameras are there?
No, you never forget the cameras.
You never forget.
I mean, there's a microphone on you.
Right. That people don't understand that. It's like a mic pack you have to wear.
Attached to you the whole time. I mean, and so that's when when I watch the show, I just laugh when people, like, when it's like, ooh, so-and-so snuck out of the mansion to see the Bachelorette. It's like, no, he didn't. They know he's going because they have to be there with their camera crew and their mic, and she's got to be mic'd. Like the girl, you know, if I remember, you know, this Sean Lowe went out to go see Emily, and it was like, oh my God, he broke free from the Bachelor mansion. No, he didn't. He did not at all. They knew he was going, and they helped him get there. And she knew he was coming because she was mic'd up.
Yeah, true. And so they have a camera on the other end. Like from inside the door.
Yeah, there's a camera on the inside seeing him open it, and there's a camera from the out. You know, all the camera angles are there. So,
had you ever been on television before The Bachelor?
I had never been on television before The Bachelor.
Never.
And no,
I mean, never been mic'd.
Never been mic'd.
It's quite an intrusive process.
Yes, it is. With a lot of men digging under your shirt,
right,
around, like, under your bra.
Yeah.
I mean, they try to help you. Like, they try to make it so you're comfortable.
Yeah, but they're like,
you have to get over that really fast.
Right.
With these strange people, or changing, and people are all around, and you have to take your shirt off to put the microphone on.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I guess everybody's going to see.
Yeah. Because you didn't grow up like in the theater where everybody's naked backstage. Everybody's like that. They're like, oh, it's no big deal.
Everything's free.
Right.
But I was a business major from Ohio University. No, nobody got naked anywhere, anytime.
I know. It is a process.
Yes.
I think people look at like, oh, I could do this and I could do that. But just how the TV sausage gets made is a lot of people don't get it. And it's not.
It's nowhere near as glamorous as you would think.
And there's a lot of waiting around, right?
And it was hurry up and wait. Hurry. Like, and so I'd always be like, oh my God, I gotta hurry, and be so nervous. And then you just sit there like hours. And
is the other people there like cut? We're setting up lights and we separate everybody.
We separate everybody. Like it's not like cut and like
you
get
have
to hang out with
trailers?
each other. No, but it would. I mean, once you're on a date, there's no cutting, or unless you're like, okay. Well, I mean, I guess there is. That's we'd be on the. Okay, this was always something that bothered me that I never got to explain. But so, like, say I was on a family date. We're at the family's house. So I go to this one house. Like the parents are from Seattle. They're Montessori school teachers, and they just got back from Thailand. And I'm telling you, all they talked about was Thailand. Like in Thailand, they have these hot peppers. And then in Thailand, and I'm like, so I'm getting like, oh, Jen, your microphone's not working. Can you come here? And then it's like, oh my God, you got to get them to stop talking about Thailand. This is not what the show's about. You need to talk about your relationship with their son. And I'm like, so then what happens is like they show this whole date. And I look like I'm super uncomfortable. I'm very unhappy. And then they show me being like, oh, yeah, we talked about Thailand, and Thailand. And so then they show that on the – they show that.
We talked about Thailand.
And everyone's like, you're terrible. Like these people let you into their house and you were just so rude and all you want to talk about is me. And I'm like, no, I was getting told that they were talking about the wrong thing and I needed to like change the discussion and I had no experience or no idea really how to do that. Like this is a whole family of like, they don't know me. They don't know the show. And I'm supposed to go in there and like, well, do you know how I feel about your son and how are you dealing? It just wasn't me. Like that was hard.
So the families have to be like your family.
That's a huge intrusive thing for the families.
I get it. Yeah.
Because none of half of these
Do
families.
they interview the families ahead of time before they even choose? Like,
No, they do not interview the families. I mean, obviously,
the families have to be okay with it, or could they just have a family like, nope, we're not?
Well, I mean, I know some of the guys. I mean, I know in some of the seasons, it's like, oh, they just went and met like a brother or a friend.
Yeah,
because the families probably weren't into having
probably.
I mean, I know that my mom was like a nervous wreck. I mean, she's not a calm person to begin with, but knowing that these people were coming into her house, and like preparing a meal for everyone. I mean, and then just being on camera and being interviewed.
So, Jen is not going to give away all of the Bachelor history because she's got hundreds and hundreds of stories to tell. So fast forward, because I think the question that lots of people would ask you is, do your kids and has your husband watched any of it? Where are they? They're young.
My husband's never watched any of it. He didn't watch it before we met. And now, obviously, he's not going to watch it because it's me making out with other people, and I don't want to show my kids.
But there's not other stuff that he's like, show me.
Oh, I mean, they've
show me the first,
right?
Like, but he's not like, show me your first getting out of the limo. Doesn't want to see it.
No, he doesn't.
Oh my God, I would be Googling like crazy.
Oh no, I mean, I'm sure he Googled like before he met me.
Yeah.
And I think he knew enough when he met me.
Did he know before the first date?
Yes, he did know before the first. It was a blind date. And the person that set him up was like, well, I think the girl that I'm setting you up with is from The Bachelorette, or The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. And then he, you got to know him. Maybe I'll have him on the podcast, but he's so laid back and it was like so not his thing. But I mean, he's very supportive of it, thinks it's cool. And he's like, yeah, man, I got the girl from The Bachelorette.
He loves that. Yeah, that's cool.
That's very cool. But he doesn't care that I was famous. He doesn't care.
Right.
It doesn't excite him. It doesn't make me more.
What about the kids?
Oh, the girls love it, and they hope that they can be famous one day too.
Now, when did they know, or when did they like?
I mean, I think they've always sort of known because I've sort of always been in the public eye a little bit. Like when I had them, there's like, oh, here's a picture in Us Weekly of Bay, my oldest, 10-year-old, and then when the second baby comes along, there's a second picture in there. So they've always seen like, or there'll be where are they now? Articles. So they've always seen it, and they've seen the magazine. So it's never something I've hidden. But I mean, they've never sat down and watched an episode. I mean, they're 8 and almost 10.
A commercial comes on for the upcoming season.
You did that?
So
you were on that?
They're like, that's
that was
it.
Your show? I mean, they sort of get it. They get it. But they haven't watched it.
And so the Burbs part of this, we're in this lovely town of Hudson, Ohio. How many people, I remember a few weeks ago, you did my podcast, and some people were surprised to find out you were the Bachelor.
Yes. So,
or the Bachelorette.
So it's been so long since I've done the show. And when I moved to Hudson, Ohio 3 years ago, it was sort of like, I just went about my normal life like everybody does. Mm-hmm. My 2 kids, getting them in school.
So you're not going to volunteer it?
I never volunteered it to people. And some people kind of knew. I mean, I had some friends in town who knew. So then if I'd meet their friends, it was sort of known. But then some people ask you about it and want to know everything. And other people just are very like, she probably hates talking about that.
Right. And some people probably just don't watch it. And so they would never know.
And some people just don't know. And I've never, a lot of friends, like a lot of my kids' friends would be like, you what? You were their friends' parents. I mean,
right?
The moms would just be like, I had no idea, but it wasn't. I mean, I don't go around like
if you go to a
glamorous every day.
But if you go to a dinner party,
it'll eventually come out,
and they're gonna do exactly what I do.
Yes.
Ask all the questions,
and everyone has a ton of questions. And I mean, that's what I want to do with my podcast. Though I mean, people have so many questions, and I don't know what I'm going to say every week. So I'd love to be able to open it up every week with listeners' questions and things like that.
Which you will.
Which I will.
So people are going to be able to send questions to bachelorburbs@gmail.com.
Bachelorburbs@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Brian just set that up for me. I didn't even know I had that email.
15 seconds. So she's going to, bachelorburbs@gmail.com. You're going to be able to ask Jen questions about The Bachelor, questions about life, questions about parenting, questions about
everything. I also work. This is another thing I work. My new career is working at a med spa, so I can fill you in on all these anti-aging procedures that they have now, and I'll have experts from over there telling us all what we need to do to keep us looking young. And
So we just want
like that. Lots of mom things.
Giving you a little taste. A little sampling of what's ahead. She's got a lot more to tell.
A lot more to say.
A lot of more juicy stuff and just general life stuff, So
I hope you listen, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe. And bye, and thank you for listening. We'll talk soon.
See you next time.
See you next time.